Saints, Falcons, Sunday. New Orleans looks to clinch a playoff spot. It'll be the 7th seed if they can get it done. 4.5-point favorites on the current line in Atlanta. The total in that game at 40. Again, take the under just anytime the Saints are on a football field right now. And Mario, the Saints were on a football field yesterday for practice, and a very welcome sight. And that was one Ryan Ramczyk. Back at practice, yes, he was limited, but who cares at this point? You need that guy on the field. He was out there practicing. Hopefully no setbacks the rest of this week, and he can be out there when the Saints head to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to face the Dirty Birds this Sunday with the playoffs on the line. We've talked a lot about it. They need both their tackles. Might not have Armstead back. He wasn't at practice. You need both, but man, look, if you can get one right now, you take it. Because last week against Carolina, you had one starter from opening day on your offensive line playing in that game.
Dude, if Ramczyk can go, that would be huge. That would be a welcome sight. That was the positive. Like you said, the negatives from yesterday is that P.J. Williams, Bradley Roby, and Marcus Davenport all were not at practice. But it would be great to get Ramczyk back. He would make a significant difference, especially against the Falcons' defensive line, who features Grady Jarrett, and he's given the Saints problems before. So having Ram back would be huge. As far as Armstead goes, this is just my opinion, Musso, totally speculating. We've seen the reports the last couple of days that Teron probably is going to need surgery after the season, but he's willing to play it out. He's willing to play in the playoffs, possibly if the Saints make it, and wait to get surgery after the season. And if that is the case, I think you're seeing a situation where Teron Armstead will come back only if the Saints win this game and only if the Rams beat the 49ers if they make the playoffs. After that, Teron Armstead can likely retire, or in my eyes, can likely retire. I think that he's had a long career. He's already gotten paid handsomely by the New Orleans Saints, and he could come back possibly for the playoffs. That would be a welcome sight. If you can get Ramczyk back 1 week before that in a game that's basically a playoff game because you need it to qualify for the postseason, that would definitely be a welcome sight.
The rest of your injury report, Traquan Smith, he's been somebody everyone's been keeping an eye on. He was also limited. Ty Montgomery, limited. Mark Ingram back at practice as well, limited. We mentioned to you Teron Armstead was out, along with Bradley Roby, P.J. Williams, and Marcus Davenport. Those were new injuries to Davenport and Williams. Davenport will be a big loss. I mean, we've mentioned it all throughout the year, really starting back in preseason when everybody really started to take notice of him again, of how much he was impacting just those games. That's definitely carried over into the regular season when he's been out there. And the Saints, they've had great history of pressuring Matt Ryan. It'd be really nice if they could end up with Davenport out there, but for that being a new injury, not a great sign.
Yeah, in my opinion, you might want to shelf him here and just hope you can get enough pressure on Matt Ryan anyway with Cam Jordan, with Onyemata, with Granderson, and others, because if that ankle's starting to hurt again for Davenport, you can really strain that thing if you play him and he hurts it further, because Marcus Davenport puts a lot of weight on his feet. He mostly uses bull rushes to get to the quarterback, and I just feel like that's an injury that could strain itself a little bit if you push it farther. The Saints got to be really careful here. And again, I know you have to win this game to even make the postseason, but that just seems like a sketchy injury for Marcus Davenport, and that's really unfortunate because, like you said, you've definitely seen the difference since he's been back.
On the Atlanta side, yesterday, Kyle Pitts did not practice. Perusing Twitter just a little bit today, it looks like Kyle Pitts was out at Falcons practice for a little bit, but it's a hamstring for what it's worth for Kyle Pitts. I'll be honest, Mario, I'm more worried about Cordell Patterson than I am Kyle Pitts. Yeah. I just am. Patterson, not just for what he's done with the Falcons, but everywhere else he's been, he's had some success against the New Orleans Saints. They've had a problem figuring out how to really limit him in their meetings. For what it's worth, in that first meeting, though, this year when he was with Atlanta, he caught every pass that was thrown his way. It was 6 of them for 126 yards with a long of 64. That long of 64 was, of course, the one that set up the game-winning field goal for Atlanta.
Yeah, I got to give credit to Terry Fontenot here, man. I think that picking up Cordell Patterson was huge for the Falcons, and he's somebody they're not paying that much money, maybe somebody that the New Orleans Saints could have considered, but he killed them in that first game. So did Zaccheaus, 2 touchdown catches in the red zone. Atlanta was money in the red zone in their offense that game, so you definitely got to make some adjustments, and like you said, it starts with covering Cordell Patterson. They did not do a good enough job of that in the first game. And they also just got to get a little bit more pressure on Matt Ryan. I think they only had 1 sack in that first game. So definitely some adjustments to be made on defense. And you know Atlanta is going to go all out in this game. They're relatively healthy despite the thing with Kyle Pitts. And we know that Calvin Ridley's not playing. We'll get to the situation with him in a second. But there's going to be a lot of motivation on the Atlanta side too.
There will be. Look, they're here to play spoiler. You know there's going to be plenty of motivation on the Saints side. So injury report, definitely something to keep an eye on. It's kind of why we led with that there. I mean, that's especially if it's as extensive as New Orleans is for this week. And with everything they have on the line, you want as many guys as you can have back. And Atlanta does too, because they want to play spoiler. And as you mentioned, they haven't had a lot of targets really for Matt Ryan to throw the ball to in general. Julio Jones, picked up and left before the season. He's in Tennessee now. And Calvin Ridley's been dealing with some stuff mental health wise, and he really hasn't been with the team since week 3 or so of the season. And Atlanta pieced it together nicely, I'll say, under Arthur Smith for the first year.
Yeah, so far it's been a pretty decent season.
I am curious to see how different it looks, though, there. I mean, I know you're talking Calvin Ridley, but even Matt Ryan. Is this the end for Matt Ryan in Atlanta as well? I mean, there's reports that Calvin Ridley wants out or could want out from Atlanta. You lose him, you lost Julio. Does Matt Ryan start seeking greener pastures?
I think that's something that would totally be up to him. Like, the best option for the Falcons going forward, I think, would be to retain Matt Ryan. He still has some really good years left, and if you wanted to seek greener pastures, like you said, to get a better opportunity to win a championship, I'm sure the Falcons would explore a complete rebuild. A lot of people were kind of surprised that they didn't do that this season. We were talking before the show. It was kind of really sketchy the way things ended with Julio Jones. He very loudly voiced its displeasure. You had Shannon Sharp calling him on national television, and he was saying that he wanted out of Atlanta. Now you see this happening with Calvin Ridley. There hasn't been really too much clarity since that whole thing happened. Like, everybody has kind of accepted that he has mental problems. Okay, that's cool. But in terms of his status with the team, we have not heard basically anything. And that has to be really concerning if you're a Falcons fan. But I think that it's really sketchy that we've seen that from Calvin Ridley. We've seen the saga with Julio Jones as well. But so far, everything's been pretty peachy keen with Matt Ryan. I'm confused why they didn't just blow it up from the beginning.
That's the future. That's the future for the Atlanta Falcons. The distant future, we'll say. The more immediate future is this Sunday versus the Saints. 4.5-point underdogs. Atlanta, your Saints, 4.5-point favorites. A lot of give and take on that injury report